The council chamber stretched wide across the center of Harmony Prime Station. Hundreds of alien delegates filled the curved seats, their various forms creating a rainbow of colors and shapes. Some breathed different atmospheres, sitting in specialized containers. Others moved with grace on multiple limbs. The chamber hummed with translation devices converting thousands of languages into something everyone could understand. Commander Jake stood at the center platform. He wore the formal uniform of Earth's diplomatic corps, dark blue with silver trim. Beside him stood Lieutenant Amy Parker, her military uniform crisp and ready. Behind them, Dr. Lisa adjusted her tablet, preparing the final documents for humanity's application to join the Galactic Council. Jake looked up at the assembled aliens. 3 years had passed since humanity first made contact with the greater galaxy. 3 years of careful observation, cautious communication, and growing worry from the Council species. Now Earth wanted full membership. The aliens seemed less than excited about the idea. Council Elder rose from his seat. The tall, thin alien had pale blue skin that seemed to shimmer under the chamber lights. His large eyes blinked slowly as he addressed the gathering. "We have reviewed Earth's application," said. His voice carried across the chamber through the translation system. "The data presents many concerns." Jake kept his face calm. Amy stood perfectly still beside him. They had expected this. Another delegate stood up. Ambassador came from a world with higher gravity than most council planets. His thick, muscular frame made him look powerful compared to other aliens. Even so, he seemed uncomfortable as he pulled up Earth's profile on the display screens. "The humans come from what we classify as a Class 12, said. The screens showed images of Earth. Hurricanes swirled across oceans. Volcanoes erupted. Earthquakes shattered cities. Their planet experiences extreme weather patterns. The gravity is 1.3 times our standard. The atmosphere contains high levels of oxygen that would be toxic to many of us." More images appeared. Lions hunting prey across grasslands, sharks circling in deep water, bears standing tall in forests, snakes coiled and ready to strike. "The planet is filled with predators," another delegate added. "Large, aggressive creatures that hunt and kill. The humans evolved alongside these threats. They developed as persistence hunters themselves." Jake watched the screens. He knew what the aliens saw. Earth looked dangerous because it was dangerous. Humans had learned to survive in conditions that would kill most of the species in this chamber within hours. Pulled up more data. "Their history troubles us most of all, constant warfare. Thousands of conflicts spanning their entire recorded history. They have developed weapons capable of destroying their own planet multiple times over. Nuclear weapons, biological agents, chemical warfare." The chamber filled with worried whispers. Jake heard the fear in their voices. These aliens had never known the kind of violence that marked human history. Their worlds were peaceful. Their evolution happened in gardens compared to Earth's harsh reality. "We understand your concerns," Jake said. His voice carried clearly through the translation system. "Earth's history has been violent. Our world shaped us through challenge and struggle. But that same history taught us the value of peace. We learned cooperation because we had to. We learned diplomacy because the alternative was extinction." "You currently have 342 active military conflicts," interrupted. "Your species cannot seem to stop fighting each other. Why should we believe you will not bring that violence to our worlds?" Amy stepped forward slightly. "Those conflicts are nothing compared to our past. 500 years ago, we had thousands of wars. 200 years ago, we nearly destroyed ourselves. Today, we have fewer conflicts than any previous era in human history. We are getting better, not worse." Lisa pulled up new data on the screens. Charts showed declining violence rates across centuries. Graphs demonstrated increasing cooperation between human nations. The numbers told a story of a species learning to control its aggressive nature. "We do not deny what we are," Jake continued. "Humans are competitive, we are aggressive, we evolved to fight and survive, but we also evolved to protect, to cooperate, to sacrifice for the group. The same instincts that made us warriors also made us guardians." Studied the humans carefully. "You ask us to trust you, to allow your species access to our worlds, our technology, our people. You ask this while admitting you are dangerous." "We are asking for a chance to prove ourselves," Jake said. "Give us a trial period, set conditions, test us. We will show you that humans can be trusted." The chamber fell silent. Delegates whispered among themselves. Jake could see the calculation in their eyes. The Council feared humanity, that much was obvious, but they also recognized that Earth had resources and technology they wanted. Humanity had developed faster than most species, driven by competition and necessity. Finally, spoke again. We will grant a trial membership. You will participate in joint exercises with our defense forces. We will observe how you interact with other species under controlled conditions. You will have limited access to Council space and technology. After one standard year, we will vote on full membership. We also require restrictions, added. Human military vessels may not travel freely through Council space. Human colonies may not expand beyond your current systems. Human weapons technology may not be shared or sold. These restrictions remain until full membership is approved, if it is approved. Jake wanted to argue. The restrictions were severe, but he also knew this was the best offer they would get. The Council was terrified of humanity. They saw Earth as a planet that should have killed its inhabitants millions of years ago. They saw humans as survivors of a world that grew monsters. We accept your terms, Jake said. Earth thanks the Council for this opportunity. The joint military exercise will occur in 4 weeks, announced. You will bring a small fleet to participate. We will evaluate your tactics, your technology, and your behavior under pressure. The exercise will take place in the Theta 7 system. Dismissed. The delegates began to leave. Jake, Amy, and Lisa walked out of the chamber together. Once they reached the privacy of their assigned quarters, Amy let out a long breath. They think we are dangerous animals, she said. They are not wrong, Lisa replied. Compared to them, we are. Their worlds never forced them to become what we became. Jake looked out the window at the stars beyond the station. We have 4 weeks to prepare. The military exercise will determine our future. We need to show them we can follow orders, work with their forces, and control our instincts. Earth vessel ECS Valiant dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Theta 7 system. Captain Foster stood on the bridge, watching as the Council fleet came into view. 12 alien ships hung in formation near a small moon, their designs smooth and elegant compared to the angular human warship. They look like art projects, said Tactical Officer Danny Brooks from his station. Pretty, but I would not want to take one into a real fight. Studied the alien vessels. Danny was right. The Council ships had sweeping curves and bright colors. They looked peaceful. The Valiant, by contrast, was built like a hammer. Thick armor plating covered every surface. Weapons systems bristled along the hull. The ship was designed to take damage and keep fighting. Remember the orders, said. We play nice, follow their lead, show them we can cooperate. Yes, sir, Danny replied, though his tone suggested he found the orders frustrating. In the fighter bay, Lieutenant ran her pre-flight checks on her fighter craft. The small vessel sat ready in the launch tube, its engines humming with power. Had flown combat missions in Earth's atmosphere, where thick air and strong gravity made every maneuver a fight against physics. Space combat would be easier in some ways, harder in others. All fighters report ready, came the voice of her wing commander through the comm system. Remember, people, these aliens think we are crazy. Let us not prove them right on day one. Smiled inside her helmet. Humans had a reputation now. The Council species thought Earth pilots flew with suicidal tactics. They did not understand that what looked like suicide to them was just standard procedure for someone raised under Earth's gravity. Down in engineering, check the power systems one more time. The Valiant's engines could push the ship to accelerations that would turn most aliens into paste against the walls. Human vessels included sophisticated inertial dampening systems, but even those could not completely remove the forces involved. Every human on the ship had trained to handle high-G maneuvers. It was normal for them. The comm system activated. Valiant, this is Fleet Commander Eth of the Council Defense Force. Welcome to the exercise area. Open the channel. Fleet Commander, this is Captain Foster. The Valiant and our fighter wing are ready to participate. Excellent, Eth replied. The alien commander sounded nervous. We will begin with basic formation flying. Please take position at coordinates we are transmitting now. The Valiant moved into position. Around them, Council ships adjusted their formation. Noticed how slowly they moved. The alien vessels seemed to drift into place rather than flying with any urgency. They move like they are afraid of their own ships, Danny observed. Over the next several hours, the exercise continued. The Council forces ran through basic drills. Formation changes, Communication protocols, emergency procedures, everything moved at a careful, measured pace. Felt his crew growing restless. This was like training exercises for new recruits, not combat drills for experienced warriors. Then the scenario changed. "Attention all vessels," Eth announced. "We will now run a combat simulation. Enemy forces will be represented by drone ships. Your objective is to defend the moon base from attack while minimizing damage to your own vessels. Casualties are to be avoided at all costs." The drones appeared on sensors, 20 small craft moving in standard attack formation. They were clearly programmed to fight like council ships, with careful tactics and predictable patterns. Watch the council vessels move into defensive positions. They created overlapping fields of fire, staying well back from the drones. Their movements were precise but slow. "Captain," Danny said, "request permission to engage targets." "Negative," replied. "We follow their lead, stay in formation." The battle began. Council ships fired on the drones with careful aimed shots. They took their time, making sure each shot counted. When a drone returned fire, the council ships would retreat, regroup, and then advance again. It was warfare as a chess game, slow and methodical. But the drones were winning. Their programming might have been basic, but they had numbers. For every drone destroyed, 2 more pushed closer to the moon base. The council ships were too cautious, too afraid of taking damage. "Sir," Danny said again, "we can end this quickly." Gritted his teeth. He wanted to follow orders, but he also watched the moon base taking hits. In a real battle, people would be dying down there while the council fleet played it safe. "Valiant to fleet commander," said. "Request permission to break formation and engage targets directly." There was a long pause, then Eth responded. "Captain Foster, the exercise parameters require defensive formations. You will maintain your position." Looked at his crew. They were all watching him, waiting. He made a decision. "Danny, light them up. Launch all fighters. Give me full power to engines and weapons." "Yes, sir," all 3 responded at once. The Valiant broke formation and accelerated toward the drone's swarm. The sudden burst of speed caught everyone by surprise. Council ships scattered out of the way as the human warship charged forward. "Captain Foster, what are you doing?" Eth shouted over the comm. "Winning, sir," replied. The Valiant's weapons opened fire. Unlike the careful shots from council vessels, the human ship unleashed a wall of projectiles. Kinetic rounds tore through space at incredible velocity. Energy weapons cut precise lines through the drone formation. In seconds, half the drones were destroyed. Fighter wing launched from the bay. 20 human pilots pushed their craft to maximum acceleration, pulling G-forces that would have killed most alien pilots. They scattered through the battlefield like angry wasps, their weapons blazing. "This is insane," someone said over the council command channel. "Those forces would crush any living being." But the humans seemed fine. They flew through fire and debris, their fighters spinning and diving with impossible agility. Locked onto a drone and fired, destroyed it, then immediately rolled into a new attack run without slowing down. Her wingmen followed her lead, moving as a coordinated unit that attacked from every angle at once. On the Valiant's bridge, alarms sounded as a drone scored a direct hit on the hull. The ship shook from the impact. "Damage report," ordered. "Hull breach on deck 7, replied. "Sealing now, no casualties." "Return fire." Danny eliminated the offending drone with a single shot. Target destroyed, 19 drones remaining, 18, 17. The numbers kept dropping. The human fighters moved too fast for the drones to track effectively. The Valiant took hits that would have crippled council vessels, but kept fighting without slowing down. Within 10 minutes of engaging, the last drone exploded into fragments. "All targets destroyed," Danny reported. "Moon base is secure." The comm channel exploded with alien voices. Some sounded amazed, others sounded terrified, heard the word repeated several times in different languages. "Captain Foster," Eth said finally. His voice was tight with emotion could not identify. "You were ordered to maintain formation." "Yes, sir," replied. "I apologize for breaking protocol, but in a real battle, the moon base would have been destroyed before the defensive formation could have eliminated all attackers. I made a tactical decision. Your ship took 7 direct hits. Your fighters pulled forces that should have rendered your pilots unconscious. You engaged at ranges and speeds we consider lethal. This is exactly why the Council fears your species. Took a breath. Commander, with respect, we did what we were trained to do. Those maneuvers are standard for human forces. The G-forces are manageable. The damage we took was acceptable for the mission parameters. Acceptable? Eth sounded shocked. You lost armor plating. You had a hull breach. One of your fighters came within meters of a collision. Nothing about that is acceptable by Council standards. His voice came over the channel. Commander, if I may, I had full control of my fighter at all times. The near collision was a calculated maneuver to force the drone into my wingman's firing solution. It worked. There was silence. Then Eth spoke again, his voice quiet. Return to formation, we will. Continue the exercise tomorrow. The Council observers need to review what just happened. The Valiant moved back into position with the Council fleet, looked at his crew. They were all grinning. They had followed orders for as long as possible. But when the shooting started, human instincts took over. Sir, Danny said, I think we scared them. Yes, agreed. I think we did. The alarm started at 300 station time. Jake woke from sleep instantly, his training taking over before his mind fully cleared. The alert system blared through Harmony Prime Station, the sound designed to wake everyone regardless of species. All personnel to emergency stations. This is not a drill. Unknown hostile fleet entering the system. All personnel to emergency stations. Jake grabbed his uniform and dressed while running toward the command center. The corridors filled with aliens moving in various directions, some panicking, others trying to maintain order. He spotted Amy Parker ahead, already in full combat gear. Report, Jake said as he caught up to her. 43 ships just dropped out of hyperspace at the system edge, Amy replied while running. Configuration matches Dominion vessels. They are moving toward the station at combat speed. Jake felt his stomach drop. The Dominion had a reputation. They conquered species that could not defend themselves. 12 Council worlds had fallen to them in the past 20 years. The Council always tried diplomacy first. It never worked with the... They reached the command center, was already there, along with Ambassador and several other Council leaders. The main display showed the incoming fleet. The ships were massive, dark, and covered with weapons. Why are they attacking now? Asked. During the exercise, we have military forces present. Because of the exercise, Jake said. They saw an opportunity. Our forces are here for training, not combat readiness. The station is vulnerable. They want to eliminate Council leadership and evaluate humanity at the same time. Evaluate looked confused. They watched the exercise, Amy explained. They saw what humans can do. Now they want to test us in real combat before we become official members of the Council. Smart tactics. The comm system activated. This is Fleet Commander Eth to all vessels. Move to defensive formation Alpha around the station. Prepare to engage hostile forces. Jake watched the display as Council ships moved into position. They formed careful defensive layers, each ship covering another. It looked good on paper, but the fleet outnumbered them 4-1. Council command to fleet, transmitted. You are entering restricted space. Stand down and state your intentions. The response came immediately, a harsh voice filled with contempt. Harmony Prime Station, you have interfered with Dominion expansion for the last time. Surrender now and your deaths will be quick. Resist and we will make examples of your species. We must negotiate, said. Perhaps we can reach an agreement. They are not here to negotiate, Jake said firmly. Look at their formation. Those are not diplomatic vessels. They are positioned for maximum strike capability. They came here to destroy this station. Surely we can find a peaceful solution, another Council member insisted. The fleet opened fire. The first volley struck the station's shields with tremendous force. The entire structure shook. Alarms sounded across every level. Shields down to 70%, a technician reported. Multiple impacts across all sections. On the display, Jake watched Council ships return fire. Their shots were accurate but weak compared to the weapons. The alien vessels absorbed the hits and kept coming. Jake to Captain Foster, Jake said into his comm. We need the Valiant out there now. His voice came back immediately. Already moving, Fleet Commander Eth ordered us to hold position in reserve. Forget that order, Jake said, looking at. The Council elder hesitated, then nodded. "Go," said quietly. "Show us what can do." The Valiant broke formation and accelerated toward the enemy fleet. Behind it, fighter squadron launched from the bay without waiting for formal orders. They knew what needed to happen. "Captain Foster, return to formation immediately," Eth commanded over the fleet channel. "Negative, Commander," replied. "With respect, your formation is about to collapse. We are engaging." The Valiant opened fire while still accelerating. Kinetic rounds tore through space, slamming into the lead cruiser. The enemy ship's shields flickered and failed. The cruiser tried to turn away, but Danny Brooks adjusted fire, targeting the exposed engineering section. The cruiser exploded in a brilliant flash. "One down," Danny reported, adjusting to target 2. The fleet responded with overwhelming firepower. Dozens of energy beams converged on the Valiant. The human ship shook violently as the impacts struck home. "Shields failing," reported from engineering. "Redirecting power from non-essential systems, hull integrity at 85% and dropping." "Keep us in the fight," ordered. "Danny, target their command ship." "Sir, the command ship is in the center of their formation. We would have to fly through their entire fleet to reach it." "Then that is what we do. All hands brace for high-G maneuvers." The Valiant dove into the enemy formation like a knife. Council ships watched in shock as the human vessel charged directly into the face of enemy fire. The Valiant's armor sparked and burned as shots connected, but the ship kept moving. Fighters followed the Valiant's path, using the larger ship as cover. Once through the formation, they scattered and began attacking from the rear. The ships tried to track them, but human pilots moved too fast. They spun through space in maneuvers that pulled forces strong enough to break alien bodies. "Fighter wing engaging," reported. Her breathing was controlled despite the G-forces pressing against her chest, targeting their weapons arrays. On Harmony Prime, the station shook again. The shields were failing under sustained bombardment. Sections of the outer hull began to tear away. "We need to evacuate," a council member said. "The station cannot survive this assault." "Where do you want to evacuate to?" Amy asked harshly. "Look at the tactical display. They have us surrounded. If we abandon the station, we are dead in space." Another impact. The station listed to one side. Gravity generators struggled to compensate. "Amy Parker to all security forces," Amy said into her comm. "Prepare for boarding actions. They are going to try to take the station by force. I want teams at every docking port and airlock." "You think they will board?" asked. "If they just wanted to destroy the station, they would have done it by now," Amy replied. "They want prisoners, information. They want to humiliate the council. That means boarding teams." She was right. Minutes later, sensors detected assault shuttles launching from their fleet. The small craft moved toward the station in waves. "Here they come," Amy said. She picked up a weapon from the armory locker. The human rifle looked crude compared to council weapons, but it had one advantage. It would keep firing until it was physically destroyed. "Lisa, get the council leadership to the secure bunker. Now." Dr. Lisa moved quickly, gathering and the other leaders. "This way, stay close and stay quiet." The first troops breached through docking port 7. They were large creatures, heavily armored and armed with powerful weapons. They cut through the station's outer doors with ease and poured into the corridors. Amy's security team met them with a wall of fire. The humans had taken defensive positions at corridor intersections, using the station's structure as cover. When they appeared, the humans opened fire without hesitation. They were not expecting serious resistance. Council species typically surrendered quickly when faced with superior force, but the humans did not surrender. They fought back with intensity that shocked the invaders. "Hold this position," Amy ordered. "Do not let them reach the command center." A soldier fired a powerful energy weapon that melted through the wall beside Amy. She rolled away from cover, fired 3 shots that struck the alien's armor joints, then rolled back before return fire could track her. They fell, wounded but not dead. "They are tough," one of her team members said. "Armor is thick." "Then aim for the joints," Amy replied. "Neck, shoulders, hips, anywhere the plates connect." The fighting intensified. Troops pushed forward in waves, trying to overwhelm the human defenders through sheer numbers. But Amy's teams held their ground. They used the station's layout to their advantage, falling back through prepared positions, laying traps, and making the invaders pay for every meter of corridor. Outside, the Valiant reached the command ship. Foster looked at the massive vessel and made a decision. Danny, fire everything we have at their bridge section. Full spread. Do not stop shooting until they are gone or we are. Sir, at this range, if we fire everything, we will not have power for shields or engines. We will be dead in space. I know, fire. The Valiant unleashed its entire arsenal in one devastating barrage. Every weapon fired at once. Kinetic rounds, energy beams, missiles, everything the ship carried. The command ship tried to evade, but it was too close and too slow. The impacts struck like hammer blows, tearing through shields and armor. The command ship's bridge exploded. Secondary explosions rippled along its hull. The massive vessel began to drift, its command crew dead or dying. But the Valiant paid the price. With all power diverted to weapons, the ship had nothing left for defense. Cruisers surrounded it, firing from every direction. The Valiant's hull tore open in multiple places. Atmosphere vented into space. Hull breaches on every deck, reported. His voice was calm despite the disaster. Life support failing. We have maybe 5 minutes of air left. Did we get their command ship? Asked. Yes, sir, it is dead in space. Then it was worth it. All hands abandon ship, get to the escape pods. Sir, Danny said quietly. The escape pods were destroyed. We have no way off the ship. Looked at his crew. They all knew what that meant, but none of them looked afraid. They had done their job. The command structure was broken. Maybe that would be enough to turn the battle. Then we keep fighting, said. Do we have any power left at all? The Valiant drifted in space, its hull torn open, its power dead. Inside the darkened bridge, Captain Foster and his crew waited. Emergency life support gave them minutes at best. Through the broken, they could see the fleet moving to finish them. Sir, Danny Brooks said quietly, it has been an honor serving with you. Before could respond, something happened that none of them expected. A council cruiser, the vessel commanded by Ambassador himself, moved between the Valiant and the incoming ships. Its shields extended to cover the human wreck. Valiant crew, this is Ambassador, the alien's voice came through on emergency channels. We are extending our shields to protect you. Hold on, help is coming. Why? Danny asked, stunned. We broke formation, we disobeyed orders. Because you saved us, said, understanding, and now they are returning the favor. More council ships moved to protect the Valiant. They formed a defensive sphere around the damaged human vessel, their weapons firing at any ship that tried to approach. It was aggressive, forward positioning, nothing like their usual careful tactics. They were learning from the humans. On Harmony Prime Station, the battle raged through the corridors. Amy Parker's security teams held their ground against overwhelming numbers. Bodies lay scattered across the floor, both human and. The air smelled of burned metal and blood. Sector 4 is falling back, one of her team leaders reported through the comm. Too many of them, we cannot hold. Fall back to position Beta, Amy ordered. Set charges in the corridor behind you. We will bury them under debris. The humans retreated in good order, maintaining fire discipline as they moved. They placed explosive charges at strategic points, then detonated them as they advanced. Entire sections of corridor collapsed, trapping or crushing the alien soldiers. But they kept coming. For everyone that fell, 2 more pushed forward. They were winning through sheer numbers. In the secure bunker, Lisa worked frantically to keep the council leadership calm. Sat with his head in his hands, looking defeated. We have failed, the council elder said. The humans sacrificed themselves for us, and we cannot even protect our own station. It is not over yet, Lisa replied. She pulled up the tactical display on her tablet. Look, reinforcements are arriving, ships from across council space. Looked at the screen. Dozens of ships appeared on the edge of the system, dropping out of hyperspace. Ships from worlds that had never sent forces to fight before. Garden worlds that barely maintained military fleets. They were all coming to help. Why asked, why now? Because they watched, Lisa said. The battle is being broadcast. Every council world can see what is happening here. They watched humans fight and die to protect you. That changed something. They are not coming to save the station. They are coming because they refuse to let humanity stand alone. On the Valiant crawled through the damaged engineering section. He had a plan, a crazy idea that might work if he could reach the power systems. The ship was dead, but the emergency reactor still had fuel. If he could bypass the safety systems, he could restart it. The ship would never fly again, but they might get weapons back online. He worked in darkness, his hands guided by memory and training. Around him, the ship groaned as its structure continued to fail. He ignored the danger and focused on the task. Finally, he found the right connections and made the bypass. Captain said into his emergency comm, "I have power, not much, but maybe enough for one weapon system." "Can we target?" asked. "Negative, targeting computers are gone. You would have to aim manually." "I can work with that. Bring the rail gun online." The rail gun was the Valiant's most powerful weapon, a massive cannon that fired solid projectiles at a fraction of light speed. It took enormous power to fire, but had just enough. Move to the manual control station. It was old technology, a backup system that most ships never used. He looked through the manual scope, using his eyes to aim instead of computers. He found a target, a heavy cruiser that was hammering a council ship. "Firing," said. He pressed the trigger. The rail gun fired. The Valiant, already damaged and drifting, shook from the recoil. The projectile crossed space in an instant and struck the cruiser dead center. The enemy ship broke apart, its hull unable to withstand the impact. "Target destroyed," Danny confirmed. "Sir, we are completely out of power now. That was our last shot." "Then we made it a good one," replied. Outside, and her fighter squadron continued their assault. They were running low on ammunition. Her fighter had taken damage. Half her wing was gone, pilots killed or forced to eject, but they kept fighting. "All fighters this is," she transmitted. "We are out of missiles. Switch to guns only, make every shot count." Her remaining pilots acknowledged. They dove back into the battle, their smaller weapons blazing. It was not much, but it was something. Every ship they damaged was one less threat to the station. Then saw something on her sensors. The reinforcement fleet was engaging the enemy. Council ships that had always fought with caution were suddenly aggressive. They were using human tactics, charging forward, taking risks, fighting back with everything they had. "About time," muttered. She targeted another enemy ship and fired her remaining rounds. Back on the station, Amy Parker's position was collapsing. They had broken through her final defensive line. Her team was down to 5 people, all wounded. They had nowhere left to fall back to. "This is it," Amy said. "Last stand. Make them remember they fought humans." The troops rounded the corner, weapons ready. Amy and her team opened fire, knowing it was hopeless. But then something unexpected happened. Ambassador appeared from a side corridor, leading a group of armed aliens. "We will not let you fight alone," said. The big alien carried a weapon that looked tiny in his large hands. "The Council stands with Earth." More aliens appeared. Council security forces that had been evacuating suddenly returned to the fight. They had watched the humans hold impossible positions. They had seen Amy's team sacrifice everything to protect the station. Now they chose to stand and fight rather than run. The battle in the corridors became chaos. Humans and aliens fought side by side, their different weapons and tactics combining into something more effective than either alone. The used to easy victories found themselves facing determined resistance. Amy shot a soldier, then threw a grenade into a group advancing down the corridor. Used his strength to physically push an alien invader back, then fired at close range. The Council aliens, learning from the humans, stopped trying to avoid damage and started accepting casualties as the price of victory. Outside, the space battle reached its peak. The fleet was surrounded now, Council reinforcements attacking from all sides. The aliens fought with new determination, inspired by human sacrifice. Ships that would have retreated after light damage now pressed forward. Crews that would have surrendered chose to fight. Fleet Commander Eth watched in amazement as his forces pushed the back. His tactical display showed Council ships using aggressive maneuvers he had only seen humans perform. They were adapting, learning, becoming more like the they had feared. "All ships concentrate fire on their remaining heavy cruisers," Eth ordered. "Do not give them time to regroup, press the attack." The Council fleet obeyed. Energy weapons and missiles converged on the ships. The enemy formation broke apart as their commanders realized they were losing. Some tried to retreat, others fought to the last, but the outcome was no longer in doubt. On the station, the commander made one last attempt to reach the command center. He led a squad of his best soldiers in a final push. They fought through the corridors, killing anyone in their path. Amy saw them coming. She was almost out of ammunition. Most of her team was down, but she stood in the corridor, weapon ready, refusing to move. "You want the command center?" she said to the approaching. "You go through me first." The commander laughed. "One human, you think you can stop us?" "No," Amy replied, "but I can slow you down, and that is enough." She opened fire, the fired back. The corridor filled with energy blasts and projectiles. Amy felt something hit her shoulder, spinning her around. She fell but kept shooting. The commander advanced, his weapon aimed at her head. Then stepped out from the side corridor. The council elder, who had never held a weapon in his life, raised a pistol with shaking hands. "No," said, his voice was firm despite his fear. "We do not surrender, not anymore." He pulled the trigger. The shot took the commander in the chest. The alien fell, shocked that a council elder would fight back. "For too long we relied on diplomacy," said, looking at the dead. "We forgot that peace must sometimes be defended with force. The humans reminded us of that. They taught us that being peaceful does not mean being weak." Amy struggled to her feet. Her shoulder bled, but she could still move. Around them, the sounds of fighting began to fade. They were pulling back, their forces broken. "Station control to all personnel," a voice announced over the comm system. "The fleet is retreating. I repeat, the enemy is withdrawing. We have won." Amy leaned against the wall, exhausted, appeared beside her, offering support. Other council aliens gathered around, all of them looking at the humans with new respect. "You fought like demons," said quietly. "We thought you were dangerous because you came from a... We did not understand what that really meant. You are dangerous because you refuse to give up, because you will sacrifice everything to protect others, because you make those around you braver." "We just did what needed to be done," Amy replied, but she smiled. They had won. Against all odds, they had survived. In space, the last ships jumped to hyperspace, fleeing the system. The Council fleet held position, ready in case they returned. But everyone knew the battle was over. On the Valiant, Foster and his crew waited in the darkness. They had no power, no life support, and no way to know if they had won. Then lights appeared outside. A Council rescue ship moved close, extending boarding tubes to the damaged vessel. 3 months had passed since the battle at Harmony Prime. The station still showed scars from the fighting, though repair crews worked constantly to fix the damage. Some sections would take years to fully restore. But the station stood, and that was what mattered. Jake walked through the rebuilt council chamber. The seats were filled again, delegates from across council space gathering for an emergency session. But the mood was different now. Where before there had been fear and suspicion toward humanity, now there was respect. Some aliens even showed gratitude. Amy Parker walked beside him, her arm still in a support brace from her shoulder wound. She refused stronger medical treatment, saying the injury would heal on its own. The council doctors were amazed by human healing capacity. What would have permanently crippled most species was merely an inconvenience for a human. They took their positions at the center platform. Lisa joined them, carrying the final documents for Earth's membership application. But everyone knew this was just a formality now. The decision had already been made. Council Elder stood to address the assembly. He looked older than before, the stress of battle having aged him, but his voice was strong and clear. 3 months ago, this station faced destruction, began. The Dominion attacked with overwhelming force. They sought to destroy our leadership and demonstrate that the Council was weak. By all reasonable projections, they should have succeeded. He paused, looking directly at Jake. But they did not account for humanity. They did not understand what it means to be not just surviving on a harsh planet, but developing the spirit that such survival creates. Images appeared on the displays around the chamber. The battle played out in silent clips, the Valiant charging into enemy fire. Fighters performing impossible maneuvers, Amy's team holding against overwhelming numbers, Foster firing the rail gun manually, humans fighting, bleeding, dying to protect aliens they barely knew. "We feared humans because they were violent," continued. "We saw their history of warfare and assumed they would bring that violence to us. We were wrong. Humans are not violent for the sake of violence. They are warriors because their world demanded it, and when they fight not for conquest but for protection." Ambassador stood. The large alien moved to stand beside, showing his support. "I personally called humans dangerous. I advocated for restrictions on their expansion. I believed they were a threat to council peace." He looked at Amy. "Then I watched one human hold a corridor against 50 soldiers. I watched her refuse to retreat even when wounded, and I understood. Humans are dangerous, but they are dangerous to our enemies, not to us. Another delegate rose to speak. My world sent relief supplies to Harmony Prime after the battle. Our ships arrived to find human crews working around the clock to repair damage, refusing rest even when exhausted. They repaired alien ships before their own. They shared their limited resources with wounded aliens before treating their own injuries. This is not the behavior of a violent, selfish species. This is the behavior of protectors. More delegates spoke, each sharing their observations of humanity. Some had reviewed the battle footage. Others had met human survivors. All reached the same conclusion. Humans were different from Council species, but that difference was exactly what the Council needed. Finally, called for the vote. All in favor of granting Earth full Council membership with no restrictions, with full voting rights, and with recognition as a primary military partner, indicate now. Every delegate voted in favor. The chamber erupted in what passed for applause among the various species. Some clapped. Others made sounds of approval in their own languages. A few simply stood in respect. Jake stepped forward. On behalf of Earth and all humanity, we accept this membership. We promise to uphold Council values. We promise to defend Council space. And we promise that no species under Council protection will ever stand alone against aggression. The chamber erupted again, but Jake was not finished. However, we must be clear about what we are, he continued. Humans come from a harsh world. We evolved as predators and survivors. We have instincts that may seem aggressive or reckless to you. We will take risks that you consider dangerous. We will endure hardships that you find unbearable. This is our nature, and we cannot change it. We do not ask you to change it, replied. We ask you to use it in defense of peace. The galaxy needs warriors. We simply forgot that truth during our centuries of peace. You reminded us. Later, Jake visited the medical bay where Captain Foster was recovering. The Valiant's captain had suffered severe injuries when his ship lost life support. He would survive, but recovery would take time. How are you feeling? Jake asked. Like I was exposed to hard vacuum for 5 minutes, replied with a weak smile. The doctors say most species would have died in 30 seconds. Apparently humans are too stubborn to die on schedule. The Valiant is being rebuilt, Jake told him. They are keeping the name. The Council wants it as a symbol of human sacrifice. They are also building a memorial in the station's main plaza. Every human who died in the battle will be honored. What about the asked? Will they attack again? Intelligence reports suggest they are reconsidering their expansion plans, Jake said. We bloodied their nose badly. They lost their command ship, 15 cruisers, and countless troops. More importantly, they learned that the Council is not defenseless anymore. They have human allies now. Nodded, good. Maybe the galaxy will be safer. The Council is already implementing changes based on human military doctrine, Jake continued. More aggressive defense postures, higher risk tolerance. They are even redesigning their ships to handle stronger forces. We are influencing them. Is that good? Asked, making them more like us. I think so, Jake replied. They are not becoming violent. They are becoming capable of defending themselves. There is a difference. We showed them that being peaceful does not require being weak. In the station's hangar bay, oversaw the arrival of new fighter craft. The Council had studied her combat footage and requested that Earth help design their next generation of fighters. The new ships incorporated human engineering, built to handle forces that would have been impossible before. These look good, said to the alien engineers working alongside her. But are your pilots ready to handle them? We have been training, one engineer replied. Using human techniques, it is difficult. Our bodies were not designed for such forces, but we learn, we adapt. As you say on Earth, we push through the pain. Smiled, the aliens were trying. That was what mattered. Danny Brooks stood in the new tactical center, training Council officers in aggressive combat strategies. His students struggled with concepts that seemed natural to humans, but they were determined. Think of your ship as a weapon, Danny explained. Not a vessel that carries weapons, but a weapon itself. You put it where it needs to be, regardless of risk. The mission comes first, always. An alien officer raised a tentacle in question. But that risks the crew. Council doctrine prioritizes crew survival. And that doctrine almost got you destroyed, Danny replied bluntly. Look, I understand. Your species evolved in safe environments. You did not need aggressive tactics because you never faced serious threats. But the galaxy has threats. The proved that, if you want to survive, you need to fight like you mean it. The officer considered this. You are saying we must become more like humans. No, Danny corrected. I am saying you must find your own courage. Humans fight the way we do because of where we come from. You need to fight in ways that work for you, but you need to fight. That is the lesson. Peace is not free. Someone has to defend it. Worked in the shipyards, helping design new council vessels. The aliens wanted ships that could take damage like the Valiant. Showed them how human ships were built with redundancy, with multiple backup systems, with the assumption that everything would break eventually. You design ships expecting them to work perfectly, explained. We design ships expecting them to fail. Every system has a backup. Every backup has a manual override. We assume the worst and prepare for it. That seems pessimistic, an alien engineer commented. It is realistic, replied. Hope for the best, plan for the worst. That is how you survive. The Valiant should have been destroyed. We lost shields, weapons, engines, life support. But we kept fighting because we had backups and redundancies. Your ships are beautiful, but they are fragile. We can fix that. In her office, Lisa met with council scientists and cultural advisors. They wanted to understand human psychology, to learn what made different. You endure pain that would incapacitate us, one scientist said. You heal from injuries we consider fatal. You function in environments that would kill us. How is this possible? Evolution, Lisa explained. Earth is a harsh world. Only the strong survived. Over millions of years, that shaped us. We developed high pain tolerance because injury was common. We developed strong healing because we could not afford to stay wounded. We developed endurance because our prey ran for hours and we had to chase them. We are what our world made us. But it is more than physical, another scientist said. You have psychological traits as well: aggression, competitiveness, risk-taking. These seem counterproductive to survival. They are productive when resources are scarce, Lisa replied. When food is limited, you need to be aggressive to claim your share. When threats are everywhere, you need to be willing to take risks. When other groups compete for territory, you need to be competitive. These traits kept us alive. They are part of who we are. Can you control these instincts? The scientist asked. Can you choose to be peaceful? We do choose to be peaceful, Lisa said firmly. Every day, humans choose cooperation over conflict. We could destroy each other easily. We have the weapons and the capability, but we do not. We choose to build, to create, to help. Our aggressive instincts are tempered by our social instincts. We protect our group. And now the Council is our group. We will protect you. Weeks passed. The Council began implementing changes based on human advice. New defense agreements were signed. Joint training exercises became common. Human instructors spread across Council space, teaching their methods to alien militaries. The Dominion attempted one more raid on a Council world. They expected an easy victory like before. Instead, they found a defended planet with ships using human tactics. The raid failed. They retreated with heavy losses. They did not attempt another attack. 3 months after the battle, the rebuilt Valiant launched from the shipyards. The ship looked similar to before, but incorporated lessons learned from combat. Stronger armor, better weapons, more redundancy. Captain Foster stood on the bridge, fully recovered, ready to command again. All systems check complete, Danny reported from Tactical. Weapons online, shields at full strength. We are ready. Take us out, ordered. Let us show them what the new Valiant can do. The ship moved away from the station. Around it, Council vessels fell into formation. Human and alien ships together, forming a joint fleet. They would patrol the border regions, protecting Council space from threats. On the station, Jake watched them go. Amy stood beside him, her arm finally out of the brace. We changed them, Amy said quietly. The Council will never be the same. We did not change them, Jake replied. We inspired them. There is a difference. They chose to adapt. They chose to stand and fight. We just showed them it was possible. Do you think we did the right thing? Amy asked. Making them more aggressive, more willing to fight. Jake considered the question. I think we gave them the tools to survive. What they do with those tools is up to them. But yes, I think we did the right thing. Peace is valuable. But peace that cannot defend itself is just waiting to be conquered. Below them in the station plaza, workers unveiled the memorial. A massive wall carved with names. Human names and alien names side by side. All those who died defending Harmony Prime. At the center was a simple inscription in multiple languages. They stood when others could not. They fought when others would not. They gave everything so that peace could survive. We will not forget. Jake read the words and felt satisfied. Humanity had proven itself, not by being peaceful, not by denying their nature, but by showing that warriors could be protectors, that strength could be used in defense of the weak. That could be the galaxy's greatest allies. The Council had been unsure about humanity. They feared what humans could do. Then they saw what humans would do when others needed help, and everything changed. In the years that followed, humanity became the Council's shield. When threats emerged, humans were there. When worlds needed defense, humans answered. They did not seek glory or conquest. They simply did what had always done. They survived, they adapted, and they protected their own. The galaxy learned that were not monsters to be feared. They were guardians to be welcomed. And when the next great threat emerged, when new enemies appeared seeking to destroy the peace the Council had built, humanity would be ready. Because that was what did. They stood on the front line. They faced the danger. They paid the price, not because they were violent or aggressive, but because they understood a simple truth that the galaxy had forgotten. Peace was worth fighting for, and someone had to be willing to fight. Jake looked out at the stars, knowing that humanity's journey with the Council was just beginning. There would be more battles, more sacrifices, more challenges, but humans would face them all, because they were, and did not run from danger. They ran toward it. "Valiant crew, this is Rescue 1, a voice said. "We are coming to get you. The battle is over. You won." Closed his eyes. They had survived, all of them. Against every expectation, they had made it. "Not bad for," Danny said, and the whole crew laughed despite their exhaustion. "Emergency reserves, maybe enough for one more shot. Target the nearest cruiser, make it count." The Valiant, dying and drifting, fired one last time. The shot struck home, destroying another enemy ship. Then the lights on the bridge flickered and went dark. The crew waited in the darkness, knowing the end was coming. But across the system, reinforcements were arriving. Council ships from a dozen worlds dropped out of hyperspace, having raced to Harmony Prime after seeing the battle reports. They had watched humans sacrifice themselves to protect the Council. Now they came to repay that sacrifice. The tide was about to turn. On the observation vessel watching the exercise, Council Elder stared at the replay of the battle. He watched humans casually survive things that would kill his people. He watched them attack with a ferocity that seemed impossible for beings that claimed to want peace. "They are dangerous," he said to himself, "more dangerous than we imagined." But somewhere in the back of his mind, a small voice asked a different question. If humans could do this in an exercise, what could they do in a real war? And more importantly, would the Council want humans as enemies or as allies when that war came? The question would be answered sooner than anyone expected. In the darkness beyond the system, the fleet moved closer. Their sensors had watched the exercise. They had seen the humans fight. Now they knew they needed to strike before humanity became too integrated with the Council. The attack would begin in 48 hours. The countdown had started. "Or we show them why Earth breeds survivors," Amy said quietly. Jake turned to face her. "We do this carefully, no showing off, no aggressive tactics. We follow their lead and prove we can be team players." But even as he said it, Jake felt doubt creeping in. Humans had never been good at holding back. Their nature pushed them to excel, to compete, to win. The Council wanted to see humans be gentle. Jake wondered if that was even possible when the shooting started. Outside the station, hidden among the asteroid field, sensors watched and waited. A fleet gathered in the darkness, planning an attack. The Dominion had learned of the human trial. They saw an opportunity to strike at the Council leadership while also evaluating this new potential threat. Their ships moved closer, silent and deadly, waiting for the perfect moment. The Council feared humans might bring war to their peaceful galaxy. They had no idea war was already on its way.